Again, let me just introduce myself. My name is Vaibhav Puranik. I've been living in LA for a long time. I'm a real estate investor, and I have done a lot of experiments with my kids and them learning about money. And interestingly, my investors also teach me a lot of stuff. So there have been investors who have been taught me some stuff. So today I have 7 different stories for you of how sort of my teaching with my kids evolved. And one of the out of the 6 stories are mine, and one story is of my investor. Um, so let's begin with that. First of all, just to level set, right? I'm going to talk about all ages of kids. Okay, so um, but my kids right now are at this age. I have a 12-year-old son and a 16-year-old daughter. But there are some things that are applicable for even more than 18-year-old people, kids as well. And there are some stories that are applicable to younger kids than 12-year-old as well. So that's the idea today. So let's start from our story number 1. So here's what happened. Okay, when we uh, I used to go to India pretty often, right? I still go every year, and I used to take my kids there. And what I noticed was the people there used to be perplexed about what to give to my kids, because my kids, they were Americans, so they didn't really like the stuff that those parents or grandparents and other people sort of gifted them, right? So we started telling them, well, if you can't just pick out what, if you can't understand what to give, then simply give money, right? But then we can buy whatever they want from that money. That was an easy sort of way to get gifts. So they started, and they all listened, and they started giving money. And we noticed that the grandparents one, they were giving a lot of money. Like, and when I say a lot of money, it means it was $100. And $100 for a kid is a big amount, right? And that too, like I'm talking about 6 years ago or something. It's a fairly big amount actually for kids. And my wife's dad is actually an exporter. So he actually has dollars, US dollars in India. So he actually used to give him cash, US dollars. And so I started getting concerned that, okay, these kids is having all this money. What are they going to do with it? So then at that point, I made a rule that, all right, whatever money you're getting, you can't spend it all. In fact, I'm going to set a rule today that whatever money you're getting, you have to save 50% of it. And then the rest 50%, you can spend it however you want. So you can buy something for you. In fact, I didn't use the word save at all. I used the word invest. That means you have to invest the money. Okay, you can't just save it, to keep it somewhere. You have to actually actively like put that money to work. And that way you will benefit in future. So then they said, okay, that makes sense. I mean, they were like 5, 6 years younger than this. So then when we came back from that trip, my son asked me like, all right, I have this money. I mean, take the 50% of it, give me the 50%. I mean, he take this $100 bill, give me $50. I know how to spend $50, but you have to tell me what to do with this $50. And then I realized that, oh, I need to create some infrastructure now. Now that they have money, you can't just keep them in cash, right? Uh, you have to put that money to work. And so then I started researching at that point. How do I create this infrastructure? Like that means I realized that, okay, I'm going to need a bank account. Okay. And I'm going to need some sort of investment account, brokerage account as well. So I researched various different bank accounts. And then after researching various different bank accounts, I found out that, oh, you can't really open Bank of America account for kids that are under 16. But you can open Capital One Money Teen account for anybody who's 10 or up. So I immediately opened Capital One Money Teen account, and I was able to open it for both. At that point, I think my daughter was like 12, 13. My son was even 8 or something, 8, 9. And I was able to open accounts for them. And they gave them debit cards for them. Like everything was set up pretty quickly, right? Uh, and recently, when I researched, I realized that all these other banks also have kids accounts, some sort of kids accounts. So you can open them in Chase, US Bank, like uh, Wells Fargo, like pretty much everywhere. Essentially, you can open these accounts everywhere. Okay, so I opened a bank account, and then I immediately also realized, okay, I need investing account, a brokerage account. So then I started researching that. Uh, at that point, there was an app that was popular, and it was called Stockpile. So I opened a Stockpile account, and then I started. I deposited that money into Stockpile, and then they can start investing from there. And Stockpile would give a investing account to my kids as well, right? Now, unfortunately, Stockpile shut down completely, and all their accounts got migrated to this another company called Stash, but it exists today. And later on, I myself migrated from Stockpile to Greenlight because it had many more features. It had sort of approvals. Like if the kids are doing some action, it will come to me for approval, and I can approve it, and then they can do it. So there was a lot of interesting stuff that Greenlight brings. The only problem with Greenlight is that there's a monthly fee. There's a free plan also, but in the free plan, you can do some stuff that I wanted to do. So I ended up getting the paid plan, which was like $5 per month or something, and that's probably good enough. And hopefully, the investment will, um, paid off, and the education that my kids get will pay it off. Yeah. So Greenlight, Stash, and Fidelity Youth are just three examples, but there are other brokerages who offer what they call custodial accounts, or these are the accounts that kids can operate. And of course, they have a little bit of differences, what kids can do, what kids cannot do, and all of that stuff. Now, so they had a bank account, they had a brokerage account, and they had money, right, to do with it. But then I realized that, okay, well, my two kids are different, right? My daughter was different and my son was different. My son immediately jumped onto it and said, all right, uh, I set up. And then without me even intervening, he started like, oh, where should I invest? Like, and started like blurting out these names to me. And he's into tech and all, right? So he's just like, oh, can I do Apple? Can I do Google? Can I do? And he started taking all these names, NVIDIA. And he's the guy who like recently built his own computer, like PC and all that stuff. So he knows technology companies. And I'm like, all right, do it. And I tried to a little bit tell him about um, uh, uh, where, I mean, index funds and all that stuff, but it didn't go really well. He just ended up buying whatever. So the key thing that I realized that if I'm going to make this interesting to them, then I can't choose what they're investing in. They have to choose what they're investing in, right? And so I started giving them free hand. And maybe initially I even used to ask them a question, well, why are you investing in this company? Like, is there even point in doing that? And they used to tell me some reason, that's kids specific. So they're not going to tell me that the PE ratio for this company is good, right? Obviously. They're going to tell me like, this is, by the way, what you see on the screen is my real portfolio of my daughter. Okay. So it's actually like, these are the stocks she has and these are the money that she has right now in one Greenlight account. And the reason she invested in Chipotle was because she likes Chipotle. That's it. It was as simple as that. She likes Chipotle. And she invested Tesla because we had Teslas and my son they discussed, right, sometimes. And she got bought into that whole like spiel that my son gave, right? So they were just doing it. And then she invested at some point in Nike as well because she liked Nike shoes and she's into soccer and all that stuff. So the first lesson that I realized that I'm not going to force them to invest in anything, even though I'm telling them about index funds. I'm not going to force them or let them commit mistakes, let them just do whatever they want. And then they will realize eventually this was a good decision, that was a good decision. Another thing that I thought to make it interesting was after they started doing for a while, I thought, I have two kids, right? Why don't I create a competition between them? And that'll make it a little bit more interesting. So then, and they also bought into it. So then what happened is in 9/11 of last year, I launched the competition saying, today I'm giving both of you $500. And at that point, we were migrating from Stockpile to Greenlight, right? So I opened Greenlight account and I deposited $500 in both of their accounts. I said, these $500, you can buy whatever you want. Okay. I'm not going to talk anything about it. And the next 9/11, which is this year's, and it's coming up pretty fast, actually. It's exactly 1 month, actually. And I'm going to review your portfolio, and whoever has more in it, you will get a reward. And I didn't disclose what the reward is, but I'll make it something meaningful. Okay. And so they bought into it, and that seemed to work out well. And then sometimes they discuss in the middle of year with each other. They try to, even though it's a competition between them, it's a friendly competition, right? So they understand that. They do that. And then I also realized that, well, my son kind of doesn't need, he will like watch YouTube videos, learn itself. But my daughter is more like she needs a book to read or she needs to go through a course or something. Then I just started researching about financial literacy courses. And then I found like bunch of them. Actually, the one course that she did, it's not mentioned here because I think that was not a great course, in my opinion. But these are the courses that are even better than that. So there's like a lot of free courses available on internet, and some of them are for really, really reputed organizations. For example, FDIC and CFPB are government organizations, right? Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and Federal Credit Insurance Corporation, right? These are all like, and then there's this guy, Easy Peasy Finance is also really, really good course. So then I think it's worth like if you, it depends on your kid is interested in going through. So I made her do this course last summer when she was out of school, or rather, she was also okay with it. That's why I didn't make me do my kid, the son, because both are different and both learn from different ways. And I think it did benefit. The course did benefit to my daughter, and she got a little bit more interested in it after that. So then I thought my daughter turned 13 at some point in time, right? So then I started thinking that, okay, if she's 13 or she's turning 13, can I actually build her credit history from now instead of waiting to for her to turn 18? So then my easiest thing for me was I had an Amex Platinum card. I just added her as an authorized user on that Platinum card. And after adding her and going through all of that stuff and putting her SSN on that card, recently I discovered that I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done that because it's not going to benefit her at all. And let me explain why. So first of all, there's a concept of authorized users in all credit cards. That means you can add your wife or husband or whoever it is, or your kids, or a random stranger if you wanted to, as an authorized user. But not everybody reports authorized users' activities to credit bureaus. And not only that, not everybody reports minor authorized users' activities to credit bureaus. Okay, so this is very important. Some companies report authorized users' activities as long as they are more than 18. And some companies report all authorized users' activities, irrespective of their age or they're after 13. And I found that, especially, I think Capital One reports everyone. There's actually an article link down there. You can check an article, and that article specifies which authorized user activity is reported and which one is not. But what I found is that Capital One does report even minor users. Now, the beauty of this is that the credit history of it, your kid benefits from your activities as well. So if you spend money, your kid's credit score will also become better. So and if they spend money, your credit score will be better. Of course, you don't need that probably because they're going to spend small amount of money. But this is one way to get them started building their credit history before they turn 18. So you don't have to actually wait for them to turn 18. So I just thought this was an interesting thing that I discovered that everybody should know, that if your kids are not 18 yet, and if you happen to open a credit card for them, add them as authorized user, they will benefit from your credit activity. So that's something. So I'm an Amex Platinum still, but I'm going to open a Capital One credit card just because it reports credit user history. Right. So that was another thing. Now, meanwhile, my son, again, is a different beast, right? Um, Now, he used to come to me every month, or he still does, and ask for like a new gadget, right? And the gadget could be a 3D printer, it could be whatever, it could be some part in the PC that he has, or it could be even some software. Like, it just, now, look, all of us are at a stage where we can afford all of these things. It's not a big deal, right? But then I realized that if I just give him everything that he wanted, like, he's not going to be responsible. And he just won't understand like value of these things. So we purposely decided that, well, A, we're not going to give everything that he wants, and B, instead, we're going to encourage them or him to do something else instead, which is uh, to figure out if he has a creative way to like get that thing, we will come in their way as well, right? Especially my son's way. So then he started like, he did like two, three very interesting things. So he used to have a small 3D printer that we had bought from him, like was a cheap one, like $230 or something. Right? This is like 3 years ago. So what he started doing is started printing stuff on it, and then he used to go to school and sell those things for like $1 or $2 or something, right? So when he was doing that, the printer would actually tell it what is the material cost for it. So once I had a conversation with him and I said, like, look, if your material cost is 40 cents, you can't sell it for 40 cents. You have to sell it for way more, like $1 or $2, because you need to have a margin there, correct? And they realized it. I mean, he understood it, that okay. And I told him that you're using electricity here, right? There's other costs that are not hidden. So he understands, and he started selling them for a little bit more than, or 50%, 70% more than what the cost that the printer was showing it. So that was good. Like, he earned a little bit of lesson about like how to run a small business in a way. Right? But then after that, I said, well, I'm not going to give you money for this material or the filament that's required for this printing. You have to source it yourself, right? From this money. What's the point if I give it to you? Then it's not a business. So he grudgingly agreed to that as well. Then we went further, and he said, well, now I can't really use these printers because I my needs are bigger and I need to print bigger things. So I said, okay, but I'm not going to give you money for the new printer, right? 3D printer. So then he said, I don't know, he discussed something with mom, and then he came to me and said, well, there is a thing called Facebook Marketplace. Can I sell this printer on Facebook Marketplace? And then I'll get some money, and then can you give me some money? So I agreed to that. Then he went through the whole process of like selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace with his mom, obviously. He he went through all of that. He sold like few things successfully. Okay. And he was able to like source his printer, the new printer that you see. It's much more expensive himself. And then he did that with multiple things. Like he was able to like sell old laptop. Right now he's selling is a PC that is made. It's actually there on Facebook Marketplace. You can see it. It's in my wife's name, not in his name, but yeah. And he's selling it for $700 now because he wants to buy I don't know, PlayStation or something. And I said I'm not going to give any money for PlayStation. So he figured out a way to get it himself. But anyways, so I think the reason I'm selling all these examples is because uh, I think these resource constraints, right, makes them resourceful. And instead of um, instead of thinking that, oh, I can't do it, they start thinking, how can I do it, right? And I'm not saying this will always work with all the kids, but maybe a little bit of handholding, they'll start understanding that you can do these kind of things with your kids, and then they'll learn more out of it. And all of these opportunities are better for learning, right? Um, uh, not just for giving them something. And they enjoy the process also. I've seen like I think he enjoys this whole process of like going. I take him with him when we go and meet the seller, also buyer of our things, and he comes along. Like he goes through the whole process. He decides what price to set there, and the negotiation and all of that stuff. So it's a lot they learn without even like us telling them, right? Doing it is the best way to learn, and discussing it with them. Uh, my daughter doesn't do this, but my son does it. So again, everybody's different. Um, Now, as the kids grow in age, right, parents tend to gift money to kids in various ways, right? Now, one obvious way that you guys know is 529 plans, right? Everybody has probably have 529 plans, and it's a tax efficient way, and it's easy to just like put some money and it finances their college and all of that stuff, right? But recently, like literally from July 4th, okay, uh, a new thing has started, which is It's called Trump account. And this Trump account is um, is very interesting um, in the sense that there was no concept of IRA for kids before. The only way to invest for kids to do IRA was to actually, um, if they had earned income, that means, let's say your child is a child actor, okay, your kid is a child actor, then they're actually earning money, and then you could open IRA from that money. But there's no way. If they're not earning any money, then there was simply no way. Now in this new Trump account, uh, you can put $5,000 per year. You can put $5,000 per year per kid, and that will be invested in a Robinhood account in SPY. SPY is a S&P 500 index fund, and you can keep doing that. And then at the age of 18, you can't put money anymore. Okay, and anybody can put money. Your grandparents can put money there. Your random uncle can put money. It's not prevented. Um, so Trump accounts can be used for kids born at any date, as long as they're not 18. Okay, they were born in it. The only thing sometimes you will see dates associated with last 2 years or something is because the government can gift $1,000 to kids that are born in certain window in last year or two. But it's not going to be useful to any of us because there are income limits, and it is only meant for like not so privileged section of the society, right? So it's not really meant for us or people who are well off. So Don't worry about that. I mean, you don't need that $1,000 from the government, right? But the beauty of it is that you, let's say you your kid is at 10 or 10, right? And you have 8 years to invest. And in those 8 years, it's like $40,000 you put every time. That $40,000 will become like a lot, like almost $1 million by the time he or she turns 60. Okay. Even if they don't put a single penny in it, just because there'll be like a 30, 18, like just 42 years of like compounding associated with it. Right. So it's the best gift you could give to your kids. Right. I mean, and then if they wanted to buy a house at their 30, they could withdraw the money and pay the interest back to that IRA. Right. They can do all of that stuff. So it's actually, it's one of the best things that will happen. If you can afford it, do it. You don't have to put all 5,000. You can put 1,000, 2,000, whatever, essentially. But I think it's just like very, very useful in my opinion. So my both the kids have Trump accounts. I put full $5,000 for both of them. My daughter is right now 16, but the way her birthday is, then I can actually do three uh, this year, next year, and the 1 year after that because she's born in June. So I can do it in every year, calendar year. So she will get 15,000 from me, and my son is 12, so he'll get five times six, 30,000, or maybe 35 based on the timing. Yeah. So I think this is, and that 35,000 will become huge eventually. Uh, there are some pros and cons here for 529 plans, but it's really the, um, I mean, these are some of the differences between like those. One strategy that people recommend is that, okay, they can do it. They once 18, they have full control of their account, and it's meant for it just turns into an IRA, right? At that point, if they want, they can convert into Roth IRA and pay the taxes on it. And at the age of 18 or 19, 20, they're not earning much, right? So the taxes will be minimal. Or if you do it smaller amounts in chunks, you might not even pay any taxes. So I think that's one strategy to put all of this amount in. Essentially, if you convert them to Roth IRA, then the growth is completely free. They don't pay any tax at the end, and it's amazing. Like they can get $1 million for without paying a single penny of tax when they withdraw it at the age of 60. So it's actually a very, very powerful strategy. Um, it's been talked about everywhere. It's worth researching into it and going through it for your kids. Um, that's another interesting thing. And so uh, now the next one is about for more than 18 years old of kids, right? If you have one, or this is like one of my investor did this, and he's this guy. What he did is he invested $100,000 with me, or us rather, and he said, "Well, but my son is going to be the point of contact for everything, and he's going to own it." So he's essentially gifted that to his son, anyway. And he made his son, who is like 23, 24 right now, go through all the paperwork that is required for my real estate stuff, um, all of that stuff. And he made him like meet with me. He made him me pitch to him. He made him like go through the entire process. And that was very powerful because he ended up learning a lot in that process. Right? Oh, there is such a thing exists that actually like private real estate investment or passive investment. And then you have to sign all this paperwork. What does that paperwork mean? What are your responsibilities? What are my responsibilities? What are the fees involved? Like all sorts of stuff. They ended up learning. So I think it was just interesting to me that he made his son go through it. And so at the same time, he gifted money, but at the same time, he also like gifted money in a way that he learns something. So that's called, I'm calling it co-investing. I'm going to publish an article on it recently because it's very, I think it's very unique and useful for people. And we don't even realize you could do that, right? Um, that's that's it. And you can do for other things as well, right? It doesn't have to be on passive real estate. You could do that with stocks. You can analyze with them, whatever they are interested in, or however, whatever you think will have better returns for them, right? I just thought it was very useful. And college going kids is perfect for that. Like uh, Roth IRAs, conversion of Roth IRAs, all of that. Just do it with them. Like it'll be very useful. Um, Now, one thing that so that was a seventh sort of lesson that I learned, right, or stories. One thing that's harder for me to actually implement, right, in my kids is this delayed gratification. And delayed gratification is extremely important because um, it's investing doesn't yield you some sort of gratification immediately, right? Um, I still remember this my own story, right? It was about 2009 or something, and in 2008, if you remember, there was a mayhem going on, like in the markets. The whole financial markets had collapsed, and Bear Stearns had collapsed, and many banks had gone bankrupt, and all that stuff. I remember that I had like about $20,000 um, available to me, and I put this $20,000 in my Fidelity account, and then I kind of forgot about it, right? And years passed by, almost like I don't know, 10 years, 12 years. I don't even remember on it. And one day I realized, oh, I have this Fidelity account. Let me log into it. I logged into it, and I saw there was $100,000 there sitting there, and that was very quite eye opening. That I didn't even look at that, and they were invested in like I don't even remember what stocks they were invested in. They were invested in stocks, not even index funds. And those it grew fivefold over like 10, 12 years, right? It was amazing. It was phenomenal. Now, the tough part is teaching this to kids, right? Because they are used to you. Everybody knows marshmallow test, right? This is a real test that has been done. There's a research paper on out there. You can research it, which is the researchers went to a school and they basically did an experiment with kids. They they went to a class and they said, okay, well, I can give you one marshmallow right now, or you can wait for 15 minutes. We'll go out, we'll come back, and we'll give you two marshmallows. And you can choose either one of them. You can't choose both of them. So some kids chose one marshmallow, give me right now. And some kids said, I'll wait for 15 minutes and give me two marshmallows. Okay. And then later on, they followed those kids for like next 20 years, 30 years. And then I found out that the kids who waited for 15 minutes to get two marshmallows had better academic performances, stronger decision making skill, and greater ability to pursue long term goals. So, and they basically demonstrated more self control, and they are the ones who had the delayed gratification. That means they were willing to wait for to get bigger gain, correct? And that's what investing is, right? Investing is about waiting to get bigger gain. So it's hard, right? I mean, it's hard. My kids sometimes understand it, but most times don't understand it, right? It's a waiting that part that's very difficult to teach. And the only way I'm trying to teach them right now is to simply have them just have this portfolio for the next 4 or 5 years, right? There's a Microsoft that was bought like in a COVID time almost. It was 2021, 22 or something like that. I remember discussing that in the heyday of COVID. So 22, so 4 years have passed already. And the Microsoft has grown by leaps and bounds from those days. So I just keep reinforcing them. Then you waited for 4 years of Microsoft and see how much the stock has become. And their Greenlight app and Stash app shows them like percentage increase and all that stuff. And that, actually how much money it has turned out. So you have to just show them examples that if you wait then it's going to benefit you more. But other than that, I don't have any tricks for that. It's very, very difficult to teach them delayed gratification. I think most kids were likely to pick that one marshmallow instead of picking the two marshmallows later, right? And we do that ourselves sometimes too. But we have to keep reminding ourselves, and we have to keep reminding them that you get better reward if you wait longer. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. I mean, uh, those are the things that I think this was our journey with my kids for the last 5, 6 years, and how they grew up, how they started investing, and what how they what where they are today, right?